Morning, welcome to the 15th Summit of the World Forum on Migration and Development held in Rio Hacha, Guajira, Colombia from the 2nd to the 4th of September 2025.
Muy bien, señoras y señores, con ese tercer...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the third call. With this, we're going to start this summit. To start, we want to inform you that we are having a picture record and a visual one of this public event. By being present and participating in this activity, we understand that you authorize the use and processing of image rights, copyright, and related rights to the dissemination of institutional messages of the Administrative Department of the Presidency of the Republic and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Colombia. We kindly invite all attendees from this moment on to switch their cell phones off and any other communication device to silent mode to avoid interference with the development of this ceremony. Good morning for everyone, to everyone. Welcome to the 15th Summit of the Global Forum on Migration and Development, held this time in the beautiful city of Riohacha, capital city of the department of La Guajira in Colombia. La Guajira has a semi-arid ecosystem and a rich cultural heritage, shaped by the presence of the Wayuu indigenous community and its direct experience with human mobility. This makes the department and the city of Riohacha an ideal setting to engage in dialogue, seek solutions, and define sustainable and innovative actions that promote, guarantee, and restore the human rights of migrants worldwide. This 15th summit that brings us together, it is an international event that convenes governments, international organizations, civil society, the private sector, and experts to address the challenges and opportunities of migration in the context of sustainable development. We invite you to enjoy and participate in the 5 expert panels, 21 side events, 6 roundtables, and 5 thematic dialogues that will take place over the next 3 years. We also encourage you to engage with the various stakeholders present at this event so that together we might reaffirm that human mobility is the fundamental driving force of the development of all countries and societies in the world. We will now have the honor of hearing from Ms. Rosa Yolanda Villavicencio Mapi, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Colombia. Good morning to all respected delegations, esteemed attendees. More than 35 years ago, a night, a very dark night, I left my homeland. I left in a hurry because my life was under threat, and I arrived to Madrid in a plane. I am, and I have been a migrant, a woman, and a refugee woman. This is my first act as a Foreign Minister of Foreign Affairs of Colombia. I received the honor from President Petro. I have taken into the office what I have learned from this fact of being the migrant. Our cause is the cause of the migrants, the one that implies the understanding of 2 key elements. First, the human mobility is natural to the human being, to the species, and it is not a privilege. It is a right. Second, that all humanitarian action follows the fundamental principle of being a human. The isolation, exclusion, poverty, discrimination, en route. Although I was received by friends, students, and other refugees, that means the real beginning of a life, an experience of a migrant. And that is the reality that I have lived, that I embraced, and that I promised to myself as my mission from 1985. I have been a migrant that has worked for the migrants. That's what I am. And based on that condition, I am present before you all today. To be the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Colombia acknowledges the migrants for the government of the change. Once the President of the Republic established that the headquarters of this forum would be Riohacha, he did it because one reason. We are in the land of migrants, thousands of people that are in a refugee condition. And that is the reason why this is the reason of the area of the Wayuu people, and that's why they are semi-nomads and also binational in their habits. For what the Wayuu people exist is a single Guajira. All of us are arijunas, foreigners. Welcome you all to La Guajira, In here, we are foreigners. Anshuya Wahida. Migrants, we live in complex times. Our rights are under dispute. The migration now is characterized by terms that are not even called as irregular. Now migration is known as illegal and is unchained. What is that is showing the lack of knowledge of our biological and evolution origin. We are the product of human mobility. We are a mixed. And this complex context implies huge challenges. We are thinking about fields, different areas. We're creating these fields to imprison the migrants. We have created fences on the borders and fear from the host communities, and also criticizing strongly the function of the humanitarian systems and the organizations or bodies of cooperation. Also, we have the forced migrants due to the lack of knowledge or the lack of following the international law and understanding that we're following the climate change. In here, we need to rethink the conditions for a proper response. So, from my perspective, as a Minister of Foreign Affairs, we need to understand this as an opportunity. The current times demand from us transformation and unity. From some years, the mechanisms of international cooperation have embraced collectively the mandate of the localization that at the end of the day means the purpose of guiding as much as possible the knowledge, the experience, and the resources in a conversation in the territories, with the territories and with the communities, because they are the ones that have the vocation of staying in those areas of settlement. That's why the first invitation from the Colombian government, and has been pointed out in many opportunities by the President of the Republic, we want to create an agenda of collaboration focused, targeted in specific communities. And that implies a second goal as well, to overcome the single perspective of the humanitarian assistant, to do it in a nexus conviction of the self-sustainability, the development and the peace construction, the peace building. I'm recognizing here many of the pioneers of transformation, and we need them all. Rio Hacha is the capital of La Guajira. If we characterize La Guajira in general terms, we find many other migrant settlements that are not fully acknowledged legally, without rights, without income. For example, the runaway, most likely the heaviest populated area, and this is just one among many, not just in Maicao, but also in Rio Hacha and also in the municipalities of the high area of La Guajira, in the northern area of La Guajira, which a huge impact on all the area that comes from the Parija Hill and north to return to the neighbor country. Despite all the meaningful efforts throughout the time, in most of the cases, they are still in this humanitarian gap. If we continue with the characterization of La Guajira, we said first that this is the ancestral Wayuu territory. As I previously pointed out, this is the ancestral land of the Wayuus. More than 700,000 Wayuus live in La Guajira. Generally speaking, we have assisted to a detriment on the ways of life due to the economical change, and also, from my opinion, due to the big, huge difference between the cultural and economic cosmovision that the Arijunans represent to them. This is their land, and we have much more present the lack of water, safe water, with its consequences. The nutritional deficits, mainly in children and also seniors. The abandonment of the agriculture and the traditional livestock traditions. Not many in the academia, they are also showing the lack of identity that is a threat for them. From the local level, if you allow me to point out, the challenges are clear for us. It is important to achieve the regularization of land and also in the informal settlements. In here, my invitation, reiterated invitation for the municipality mayor, City Hall of Maicao, is that we need to allow the formalization process that is already in late stages that would allow the legalization of land and the provision of services as the restoration of rights in a very short amount of time. From our side, we are more than ready. Count with us. With the spirit of this Guajira land, the wind of the desert, the strength of the Caribbean Sea and the ancestral wisdom of the Guayu people can guide us in this meeting. So Rio Hacha, with the horizon of just sand, the land where the border is not stopping but joining instead of separating, let's keep in mind always that the diversity is the source of the wealth and the mix of cultures. That is the possibility of a joint future. On behalf of Colombia, the country, transit and destination and return area, declare the opening of this global forum of migration and development, fully persuade that each step of the migrants, it is a step towards a future that is more humane, more fair, and with dignity for everyone. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Thank you, Minister. Next, we will hear Mrs. Catalina de Bandas Aguilar, representative of the Director General and Senior Director of the Office of Partnerships, Promotion and Communications of the International Organization for Migration.
Con gusto.
Muy buenos días.
Good morning to all. Dear Minister of Foreign Affairs, Rosa Yolanda Villavicencio, thank you so much for welcoming us. Esteemed authorities, representatives of the delegations of the civil society, international organizations, colleagues. It is a big honor for the IOM to join to this launching the opening ceremony of the 15th Summit on Development and Migration. First of all, let me acknowledge the government of Colombia for their leadership and the presidency of this forum for the period between 2024-2025. Colombia has shown huge solidarity and innovation. We want to tackle the challenges of the displacement, internal displacement and migration. As a host country, provides protection and opportunities for migrants and has developed sustainable solutions for the displaced, the internal displacement. Those efforts, guided by an inclusive approach and based on rights, are acknowledged at the global scale as example of good practices. The recent election of Colombia as the Council of Human Rights for the period of 2025 to 2027, and also the leadership as a precursor country of the Pact for Migration, are a testimony of their commitment, unbreakable commitment, also with multilateralism, with promotion of the participative approach on benefit of the people in the move and the origin source communities, the transit communities, and the host communities. It is also important to mention that we meet in a moment when migration, as the minister just explained, when this aspect has a very important point in the public debate and the public agendas. Migration is an inherent movement of phenomena from the humankind. It's a very complex one as well. The humanitarian crisis, natural disasters, and the economic situation, it has generated important historical figures in the levels of displacement. The proper management of that also generates tensions and mobilize public opinion, where the debates regarding migration are polarized, and the political systems are under pressure to demonstrate that they have a strict control on the migration movement. At the same time, we know that the migration continues being an essential engine for the economies, the labor markets, the innovation, and also for the adaptation to the demographic challenges. The demand of labor are still imperative. The migrants, most of them travel for the regular roads, contribute enormously to the social and economical global development. The tension between those realities make evident importance of areas, opportunities of discussions such as this one. We need more areas for a respectful exchange to foster trust and collaboration. We need to create spaces so we can fully understand in a better way the different perspectives from the government and many other relevant counterparts. Mainly, we need to find a common understanding ground that fosters as well efficient decisions based on principles and values. Through large inclusive consultations celebrated in the last year, Colombia has settled the foundations for this type of dialogue this week. The chosen topic, regular labor, mobility, and human rights, are the pillars of development and the well-being of these societies. Wouldn't be any more timely at this moment. It reflects completely the work of the IOM, the ones that we do on daily basis in more than 100 countries. With the support of our member states and our donors, and also many other counterparts, the organization is working on the strengthening of the governance, the migration, to facilitate the border management based on human rights, to formulate sustainable solutions to the internal displacements, and also to enlarge the pathways of migration, the safe and regular one, the fair contracting processes, and access to social protection. As in our role as coordinators of the national network of the United Nations on migration, the IOM works to take advantage of the potential of the system of the United Nations in a coordinated and efficient way, with the purpose of supporting the government on the efforts to work on the global pact for migration. Once we foster on networks that are inclusive, once we connect this labor mobility with adaptation to the climate change and the sustainable development, the labor or the work of the IOM shows that the regular migration and the mobility based on rights are the true pillars of the development and the well-being of our societies. We celebrate that forum that highlights the strong bond between the development and migration. This is a very important opportunity when we can work on new relationships, we generate new ideas to solve these complex challenges that are gathering is forcing our the conversation today. The local authorities, the global authorities, the national authorities, the migrants, the youth are critical for this forum, critical as well for the construction of comprehensive strategies, holistic strategies. In a moment when the commitment with international law is weakened, it is critical to ensure that the migration has a very important role in our multilateral agenda. Next year, the General Assembly of the United Nations will celebrate the second forum of the assessment of the international migration. This forum will provide a balance on the application of the Global Pact for Safe, Organized, and Regular Migration, to reform also the guiding principles. The international cooperation, the respect on human rights, and the shared responsibility to achieve those goals. The forum of the international migration should be nurtured by the spirit in Rio Hacha, expressed by an open dialogue and in the search of efficient solutions based on the reality of the migration on the field. Chancellor, in the world, this is shown clearly. A well-managed migration can benefit all of us. The IOM expects with enthusiasm to collaborate with Colombia and all the stakeholders here so we can create the needed conditions so this goal become a reality. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mrs. Devandas. Ms. Devandas. We now welcome Ms. Nidia Tarazona, representative of the Civil Society Mechanism and a member of the General Confederation of Labor, CGT of Colombia.
Muy buenos.
Good morning to all. Resist, reclaim, realize. Fundamental rights of the migrants are human rights. STEAM representatives of the government, members of the civil society, and many other participating stakeholders, special greetings. We need to acknowledge today the ones that are not in this auditorium, the ones that represent millions of migrants and their communities around the world. We are 74 delegates from the civil society in this summit, an important amount that is still small, and still all of them are outside without being able to participate in this auditorium or also either in the roundtables. I am the only one that has a huge responsibility of represent the huge diversity of needs, priorities, and situations that are full of despair, the situations that we face. However, we cannot accept the criminalization or the exclusion of the migrants, especially when they are persecuted, detained, or separated from their families. It's just not a violation to fundamental rights, but also they can go deeper into the pain and the inequality. We need to resist those narratives and the terror policies, cruelty and dehumanization of people on the move. To migrate is not a crime. Mobility, human mobility, it is a right. And that's why we make the firm and urgent call to the humanization of the migrants, to acknowledge the right of the migration and the right not to migrate under security, dignity, freedom, and well-being conditions. We need to reclaim the value and the meaning of the general framework of human rights. We can see the forced separations of children from the parents, the deportation of people through the ceremonies of the naturalization, and a genocide in Gaza without any answer from the international community. We cannot accept the regression that are normalized from the policies. Long life to a free Palestinian. We cannot accept the criminalization speech regarding decriminalization. The way the international governments, including the migration, forgets the crucial event that the civil society as a group of stakeholders that include the migrant communities, and on the first line should be the critical central voice. We want to remind that to the forum that we cannot speak about migrants without them. The governments have different type of areas to have the intergovernmental dialogues, but this is the only space of communication regarding migration and development that are truly led by the member states that include the participation of the stakeholders. That's why all the sessions of the forum should be celebrated with a representation of the migrants and the people that represent them. We need to acknowledge our promises, the goals, and the vision of a better future for all of us. We need to be brave. We need to step ahead and to protect those in changes. What is happening with the migrants and their families and the step back of human rights all around the world cannot be normalized. And these cannot be the ones that can destroy, that can defeat the international government and powers. We are about to create legislation for all the present countries with the principles and the fundamental human rights, ensuring as well that all the migrants, without distinction, any distinction, can enjoy the access of rights such as identity, education, physical and mental health, labor conditions with dignity, social effective protection, and access to justice. This forum, it is an opportunity for the governments, international bodies, the migrants, and the civil society, so we can work together in the construction of migrants policies and human practices that are inclusive, that are in alignment with the international commitments on human rights adopted by the states to resist to reclaim, to realize. We respect and hope. I want to say that again, because that's the key message of the civil society facing the future. We need to resist the violences of the international obligations. We need to reclaim what we have lost. We need to realize that the human rights of the migrants are human rights, and the human rights are non-negotiable. To migrate should not mean to lose rights, but to use them fully. Today we wonder ourselves from which side of the history you want to be. And join us, join the migrants, resist, to reclaim and to realize. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Thank you for your words, Ms. Tarazona. Mrs. Tarazona. Next, we welcome Mrs. Risa Francesca Regal, representative of the Youth Mechanism, one of the main mechanisms of the Global Forum on Migration and Development. Esteemed all beloved colleagues, participants of this forum, special greetings this morning that is so important for the global migration movement. I am from Philippines and I have the huge honor and the big responsibility to be one of the global coordinators of the platform of migration youth that includes the stakeholders of the Global Forum on Youth and Development on Migration. Allow me to share with you a history of collaboration and leadership and that started before the summit here in Riohacha. It all started once received the news from the Colombian presidency of the forum in Geneva. From the beginning, the Colombian authorities, they were working in a close way with our platform. This collaboration was not a random act, but reflected the commitment with the integration cross borders strategy with all the young people regarding this historical event. The initial support was quickly transformed into something deeper. The most emblematic moment arrived once we were offered something that never happened in the history on the Global Forum on Migration and Development, the opportunity to co-share a round table on the topic children and women on the move, the innovation for tomorrow's development. This milestone is not representing just a symbolic gesture, but also the tangible action of the critical role of young people, not just people that have lived experience, that are a truthful weight of the expert knowledge, but also active agents of change.
But this participation wasn't limited to this historical moment. During all these months, we have been present on any preparatory meeting, contributing actively to each critical part of the design of this forum. As a natural result of this collaboration, yesterday we finished our preparatory endeavors with the making of the Youth Forum on Migration, our official preparation space, inspiring. We're seeing how 23 young people coming from different parts of the world, from Colombia, going to neighboring countries like Venezuela, Ecuador, until the Caribbean, as well as United States, several European countries, and places as far away such as Fiji, got together to provide unique perspectives, completely innovative. Also, as in prior years, we have doubled up our efforts so that this forum is truly inclusive, guaranteeing also the full participation of youth with disability. We firmly believe that when we create accessible spaces for them, we are creating a fairer and more inclusive forum for everyone. In parallel to this forum, we have developed two complementary initiatives that are widening our scope and impact. On the one hand, the Leadership and Innovation Youth Award that allows us to acknowledge and celebrate those young that are transforming the migratory landscape in a positive way. Also, we have created some specific work venues with the different states. All these efforts find their expression more defined in the heart of my intervention from today, the presentation of the Declaration of La Guajira. We make a call to a migratory governance that is comprehensive, based on human rights and focused on the youth. We talk about the needs of guaranteeing the universal access to sexual and reproductive health, to services with gender perspective, to education and to employment opportunities for the young migrants. At the same time that we increase the protection measures against human trafficking, labor exploitation, gender violence as well. We talk about the importance of having educational systems that are inclusive, scholarship programs, legal documentation and access to accurate information that is the integration and promotes also the innovation. We encourage to have a proper narrative against xenophobia and discrimination, increasing the voices and the contributions of the youth, of the migrant youth, amidst in the media and the cultural venues. We stress the importance of acknowledging the climate change as a displacement factor, and we call to the creation of safe and solid protection paths and the preservation of the local indigenous law. We consider that regional cooperation must prioritize human rights, the response capability towards crisis, and the participation of all the society in the migratory frameworks. We also say that this has to be complemented and not replace the decision making in human terms, and then transparency in the use of data, accountability, and an inclusive digital education are essential to empower the children and the youth in the building of this future. Youth are not prepared to be part of this transformative part. They are not only being part of this, but we are ready to lead it as well. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias por sus palabras.
Thank you for your kind words, Mrs. Regala. We give a kind regards and we invite to the floor to Mr. Jairo Aguilar de Luque, Governor of La Guajira, who has opened the doors to this from this beautiful department to be part of this World Forum on Migration and Development. Thank you. First of all, good morning, everybody. Want to give my warmest regards to all the different delegations. This is the department of La Guajira, the only inhabited desert of our country, the most inhabited desert of the country, and with the efforts, with the struggles, a land with around 1.2 million inhabitants. We have 158,000 inhabitants. But from 1940, we have been a brave people, resilient as well, dignified, that has opened the doors to everyone. Now we are standing with that effort, with our difficulties, with our realities, but especially with our powers as well. Now today we are presenting that Guajira to the world. We are presenting more than 750 kilometers of seashore. an area that represents 33% of the participation of the Caribbean region, 18% of the coasts of this country. These are our borders. They are always open, always willing to receive. Today, we are thrilled because we want the message to leave this place, from this land. It's not only an acknowledgement, and we want to thank the national government. We want to thank the Chancellor's office that they have put an eye on La Guajira. Half of our population is an indigenous population. In this desert, they have found ways to stand, and even so, we have kept ourselves strong. These venues, with the conclusions, cannot stop receiving that acknowledgement to a territory that has it all. A territory that nowadays is aiming for a way to continue connecting with the world. On 1940, we welcomed the Arab people, and we talked about realities, and we started building from our tragedies the paths to move onward. Nowadays, with our hospitals, with our schools, we receive and we cater the migrant population. We thank those that are moving, the doctors, the specialists that nowadays are working in our sectors, in our clinics, in our hospitals. To all the entrepreneurs, all the businessmen that thankfully are offering through their companies labor capability to our territory that desperately needed. This is the Guajira for everyone, a hopeful Guajira, a Guajira with the high and medium Guajira, with the ancestral art that is widely acknowledged now. Is the Guajira that needs from everyone in the world to continue being visible, resistant, and strong. You are cordially welcome to this department. We want to tell you that the doors are open, that we want to continue moving onward, that there is a brave people now is telling you from the bottom of the heart, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Gracias, señor gobernador.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. We're going to give the floor to Mr. Genaro Redondo Choles, District Mayor of Riohacha, host city of this 15th World Summit of the Forum on Migration and Development. Good afternoon for everyone. I want to give my warmest regards to everyone who is joining us today in the district of Riohacha in the department of La Guajira. Welcome to this city, a Caribbean city that today transforms the core of the Global Forum on Migration and Development. We are deeply honored on being the hosts of the 15th Summit of the World Forum on Migration and Development, where we are being visited by over 40 countries, more than 63 organizations that gather together to reflect on one of the most transformative phenomena of our times, human mobility. And here I want to thank deeply to Dr. Gustavo Petro Urrego for giving this opportunity great opportunity to the district of Riohacha, to the department of La Guajira. Thank you, Mrs. Foreign Minister. Thank you, Mr. Gallon. I know that you were the responsible of making Riohacha and the department of La Guajira not only to be something visible at a regional level, but international as well. And to us, this is already a winning. So thank you so much. Thanks to this government, the government of the change, and thanks for this great opportunity that we're giving to the district of Riohacha. The Haitian anthropologist Michel Touillon, in a given moment in one of his works, affirmed that the Caribbean is the place where humanity met with the other half of humanity, and that happened in the discovery of America. Until that time, the European and Asian thought that the only race that existed were them, and in this great Caribbean they met another race, the dwellers of this land, and from that moment onward we started having this influx from European and Asian to our American lands, and nowadays we are talking about this milestone in the world history of migrations. The French anthropologist Élie Ledoux also at a given moment talk about the way that people were migrating from one place to other, and how this has brought development to many countries, but also to many nations. Given this context, we can affirm that the human being is our main identity, and something that goes beyond, and I want you to take this with you, that beyond a passport, beyond a border, or the migratory status, we all share a common condition, and that is striving for dignity, pertinence, and relevance and future. That must be our course, and I invite all the countries, all the delegations that are with us today, to remove any barriers for the migrant. They're talking about borders, passports, and others. It's just a condition, but what we should always have, and we should always persist with human being, the history of a family, the history of a person, of children that in the end are looking, striving for hope and trust, and are able to overcome social barriers that are placed in many territories. This city that was inhabited by people from the Caribbean started in the 16th century as a gathering point between traders, fishermen people, and indigenous people that came from the Caribbean, human beings coming from Africa, a native from the European area. In the world, around 123 million people have been displaced forcefully, according to UNHCR. A good amount are refugees, and 6.9 are seeking asylum. Also, 281 million people live outside their countries of origin, which talks about 3.6% of the world population. These numbers tell us that behind each number there is a story, there is a family, there is a hope. Here in the district of Riohacha, we have approximately 50,000 migrants that are striving to stay here. Out of these 50,000, approximately 6,200 children are part of our school process. That means they are enrolled in our educational institutions and receive all these permanent strategies such as school food, transportation, additional elements. And we have 13,000 migrants that are part of our healthcare system in the subsidized regime. We have over 60 different settlements of people in Riohacha distributed in the different communal areas that are aiming to stay in this territory and that also demand goods and services. We have been working around one of the integrated centers, the most comprehensive ones that we can have in the national territory. A government strategy from 2022 that is the integrated center at the core of Rio Hacha that has a place for HMO, subsidized service, and they quickly can get the characterization. But it's important as well because we have an office of the National Registrar's Office. We have a healthcare point, we have education, we have entrepreneurial service, and also another one for technology. This work has been done hard with the people from the Secretariat of Planning, but also something important, the work and the effort that we do with several people helping in Rio Hacha, with many entities that are helping and working and striving for migration, not only in Rio Hacha, but also with the governor. We do that in La Guajira. There are other municipalities, like for example, there we have the mayor of Maicao, Miguel Felipe Ayagón, and the foreign minister that was talking about La Pista, that is possibly the largest human settlement that we can have in Latin America. But as it is happening in Maicao, it is happening in other municipalities where we have the mayors and the same migratory problem. But something important, here in Rio Hacha, estimated Foreign Affairs Minister, we are working because these people deserve that we work in terms of land sanitization. People that have been living in territories for a long time, they don't belong there, and with the national policy we can help so that these people can be the owners of their own lands, and that can be done through this land sanitization in these human settlements that are not only in the district of Rio Hacha but also all around La Guajira. To us, truly, this is a golden opportunity, estimated Chancellor, that now the world is focused on Rio Hacha in the department of La Guajira becomes an opportunity, not only given our wealth on touristic terms, but also ecotouristic. We have been followers of all the migratory flow in the last years. Rio Hacha is a city that grew and has been developed thanks to the migratory flow, thanks to the people that came from Italy. Here we have the first accordion that arrived from the world that entered through Rio Hacha, through the pier. So you had the possibility of knowing Avenue first, and you will be able to see that beautiful pier that we had at the district of Rio Hacha. That was the relationship that we have of this area with the Caribbean islands and the world. And this World Forum for Migration and Development allows us to recover once again those roots that with you we can continue building in order to be able to provide better securities, better conditions to our migrants. And thanks to our strategy that we have in the district of Rio Hacha, we have reduced the benchmarks in terms of xenophobia. We are not treating them like Venezuelan or migrant, but just new Rio Hacheros that they feel at home. Here our migrants are new Rio Hacheros, so that they can feel at home. We share the culture, gastronomy. We share this roof that is called the district of Rio Hacha. And to wrap up, I just want to tell you, I want to thank for all this opportunity that has been presented to Rio Hacha so that we can debate on these 3 days about what should be migration and development, not only at a local and regional standpoint, but around the world as well. Thank you so much.
Gracias, señor alcalde.
Thank you, Mayor of Rio Hacha. Now we're going to give the welcome to Mr. Philippe Berdeau, first council person of the Embassy of France in Colombia, who is going to represent the country that exerted previously the presidency of the World Forum on Migration and Development. The floor is yours. Good morning, everybody. Estimated Minister, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Mrs. Foreign Minister, thanks for your kind words and your testimony. Major and Governor, thank you so much for having us here in Guajira. And Mayor, thank you so much again for quoting the French anthropologists. Estimated Senator, ambassadors, directors, estimated delegates, and friends of the forum. I'm going to say some words in French because, as you know, in France, we don't like to uphold a multi-language. I'm pleased on behalf of France to be here under the gracious host of the Embassy of France for this 15th Summit of the World Forum on Migration and Development. On the work that we have done in the year and a half of presidency of this forum, indeed, Colombia has received from France the presidency of this forum, proposing an ambitious and innovative program. That's why they are offering a unique framework to think about the links between migration and development. Altogether, they represent the different sectors of the social, the civil society and others, majors, academic organizations, international groups and other horizons. Altogether, we'll be able to exchange in a constructive manner all the topics proposed in our agenda by the presidency. Especially France is happy of the place that has been given to the promotion of human rights, and this essential topic will help us as a compass to tackle the 6 thematic axes presented by the presidency. We thank for the timely decisions that are presented within the spirit of the work that has been done in prior years that propose new axes for reflection. We also think about the relative challenges to women and migratory girls. As a country committed for a long time with a feminist diplomacy, France is enjoyed for the inclusion of this agenda in the topic that sometimes is neglected, considering that migrant women represent about half of the people mobilizing around the world. How women and girls can be discriminated due to the gender and migratory status. That's why they are susceptible of having discrimination and precariousness. And also they are subject to violence and human trafficking. Beyond this reality, it will be reductive to see them only from a vulnerability point of view. Both girls and women, migrants, are a wealth for our society because they are vectors of social change. Therefore, they have to be the focus of our policy given a sustainable development. I would like to quote as well an action from France in Colombia, along with the French Agency for Development and the Expertise Française Institute, that is work for women, socio-economic integration of migrant women. The program is called Women Creating Roots, Mujeres Creando Raíces. This talks about how we want to commit with France in this same topic. Can be an opportunity to talk about the different options that we have with human mobility for the development of the societies, of the hosting and transit communities, but also for people themselves. And in this spirit, our reflections must be guided towards public policy that allow us to join these forces, to multiply the options that we have coming from them. And migration poses lots of challenges, but they are an essential moment to reach the sustainable development goals of the 2030 agenda. Estimated friends, each presidency sets a supplementary stage for the creation of a consensus and the creation of new associations. but it's not possible to change the international context that we are currently enduring. One say the forced displacement due to climate change, climate degradation, because this increases all around the world. And on the other hand, the multilateral system, as we know it and as we have seen in the last years, all this has entailed many changes, and we totally condemn that we have lost certain principles that we considered that were acquired. The fight against the climate change is now a subject for criticism, despite of the scientific evidence about all these threats. Therefore, we want to reaffirm our commitment and our collective action.
We add to this a collective concern, a new one, which is the drop of the funding for sustainable development and the international associations. This drop affects many areas around the world and is forcing us to think about a new sustainable model so we can act and also ensure the migrations on regular data and also respecting the dignity of each human being. France will continue with engaging in the commitment of peace and our common good. We want to thank Colombia for opening for the dialogue and the multilateralism in a very important topic such as migration. I want to conclude saying that the days that have lived in Riohacha represent a beautiful opportunity offered to us so we can build together an answer to these international problems and struggle. Thank you so much to the host, to the people in Riohacha, for the team. I want to thank all of you. I hope we can have 3 excellent days for discussion. Thank you very much.
Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Berto. In this way, we conclude the first part of the 15th Global Forum on Migration and Development. But the agenda continues this year. We want to invite to have a green spot on the bottom side of the accreditation to leave through the left exit of the auditorium next to the ramp. For the rest, please leave the auditorium on the door on the back. Also, we want to invite all the attendees so they can return back at 2 p.m. for the greetings from the President of the Republic of Colombia, Gustavo Petro Urrego, here in the same auditorium. Thank you so much for the attendance. Thank you and good afternoon to all.